Bullet Train is the new action-packed comedy with a great ensemble cast. I got to see an early screening of it and it was so much fun. It's out this weekend and I'm pretty sure most people are going to have a great time with this one. Oh. So many people at the screening were laughing and enjoying themselves. Maybe some people just hate fun. Well, I had a great time with this movie, and I still think a lot of you will as well. And even though I'm genuinely baffled by some of these reviews, I am not here to review other people's opinions. I'm here to tell you why Bullet Train is worth your time. The movie is an adaptation of a popular novel by the best-selling Japanese author Kotaro Isaka. It is mostly set on board of a high-speed train where there seems to be an unusual number of assassins. Brad Pitt plays one of them, and his seemingly easy task of getting on the train, grabbing a certain briefcase, and getting off at the next stop turns out to be not as simple as it looks. It's in the realm of Snatch meets an Agatha Christie novel with a Tarantino flair. Assassins on a train. Did I mention this movie was fun? First of all, it is so good to see an action comedy that has nothing to do with any franchise or cinematic universe, that's not a remake or a sequel to anything, and that's targeted towards an adult audience. It's also not trying to take itself too seriously. It's a thriller that's meant to be fun, that's meant to be a bit ridiculous, with style and personality and quirky, memorable characters. Movies like this used to be a pretty popular subgenre for a period of time, and if you were into them, you know exactly the type of movie this is. It's not afraid to be what it is, it's not afraid to occasionally poke fun at itself, and it's over the top in just the right way. Bullet Train is also an ensemble film, one of those movies that features a cast of characters, with each of them having a distinct personality and a backstory. Sure, Brad Pitt's Ladybug is technically the lead, but there is a lot more going on here, and almost everyone has their time to shine. It's the type of movie that introduces its characters with title cards and uses flashbacks to fill you in on how they got here. There is a lot of fast-paced setup and a lot of payoff, which I found to be very satisfying. Now, as you can imagine, or as you might have gathered from the trailer, suspension of disbelief is required here. And it's true, there are a few scenes in which the movie gets a little too crazy, a little too implausible, and those scenes might take you out of it for a minute. But overall, it sets the tone and expectations very effectively from the very beginning, and it's consistent with that throughout, so no matter how crazy it gets, it still works. It makes sense within the world of the movie, which is by no means attempting realism. I will say I was a little surprised by how violent it ended up being. Obviously, I assumed it would have a lot of fight scenes, but there was a lot more blood and general body damage than I expected, so be aware of that if you're not a fan of gore. But this is also, once again, something that fits the overall style and tone of the movie, and some of it is definitely played for laughs. It's a comedy in the same way The Nice Guys is a comedy. That's an amazing and pretty underrated movie, by the way. Watch it if you haven't seen it. I do want to briefly talk about the trailers because, as you may already know, I rarely watch trailers as they tend to give away far too much. So I avoided Bullet Train trailers, but I watched them after seeing the film, and I am so glad I stayed away. The second trailer in particular shows an unnecessary amount of footage from the third act of the film, and while they don't show everything, it's still pretty easy to figure things out after that. There are even a couple of actors shown in the trailer that I had no idea were in the movie, and I am so glad it was a surprise for me. The point I'm trying to make is that while you can't fault the movie for the failures of the marketing because trailers are simply not something filmmakers have control of, I do understand why some people are going to feel let down by certain plot points because they are not going to be a surprise. You cannot unsee what was given away in the trailer. And that sucks. This is why I don't watch them, and I recommend that you don't watch them either. If you're in the theater during trailers, just look down, wait it out, it'll be worth it when you actually see the movie. But back to the actual movie, there are a lot of storylines converging on this train, and because every character has a backstory, there's a lot going on, but as long as you're paying attention, it's not hard to follow. You're observing these puzzle pieces that eventually fit together to reveal the full story, and I am a big fan of this type of structure in movies. As for the ensemble cast, it's fantastic. Of course, I am not going to reveal any of the cameos or small roles you potentially might have missed because they're just too good to spoil, but let me go over the main players. Brad Pitt as Ladybug. Amazing. I've always been a fan of Brad Pitt, but I am loving these more mature roles for him where he's combining his charisma with kind of being over everyone's nonsense. Ladybug is someone who's trying to be a better person despite the line of work that he's in, and of course, he stumbles into this violent and deadly situation, which is exactly what he wants to get away from. He is so entertaining to watch, so funny, but also apparently did 95% of his own stunts, which is kind of insane. And by the way, the action is great in this movie, so that stunt work definitely paid off. Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry as Tangerine and Lemon. Amazing. The way they play off each other with their individual quirks and humor is great, but there's also this deeper connection between the two that's actually very sweet. They may fight and argue, but in the end, they have a brotherly bond between them, and their on-screen chemistry is perfect. If they ever decided to make a Tangerine and Lemon spin-off, I would watch it in a heartbeat. Hiroyuki Sanada has a smaller role as the elder, but he still is important and he has some great scenes as well. I really enjoyed seeing him in the film. I would say the weakest link in the cast is Joey King as the prince, and it's not even about her character being very unlikable. I actually think she was miscast here. Her performance felt forced and took some getting used to for me. But her character is an important piece of the puzzle as well. All of the characters in the film are memorable and distinct, which is exactly what this type of movie needs. And yes, it's absolutely more fun to watch with an audience. Obviously, I recommend seeing it on the big screen for the visuals and the sound and to support original movies, but also it is the kind of film that you should experience with other people. So even if you decide to wait to rent it at home or wait for streaming, watch it with your friends. Share the fun. Bullet Train is an action comedy done right. With a runtime that's just over 2 hours, this could have easily overstayed its welcome, but with its many twists and turns, it kept me engaged and I was never bored. It's original, action-packed, hilarious, and just the right amount of over the top, featuring an amazing ensemble cast with great cameos. It may not be a Best Picture contender, but it's not trying to be. Instead, it's insane, gory fun, and I had a blast watching it. I'm going with a solid 8 out of 10 for Bullet Train, and I can easily see myself watching it again.
Sure you want to talk this out?
Not particularly, no.